Pseudonymous social interaction in K-pop stan Twitter as a practice in writing in English among Filipino high school students. Researchers Donna Artuyo and Gerald A. Sares. Korean pop music or K-pop has emerged as a global phenomenon in the past decades. Choi and Malinkay in 2015 attested the entry of K-pop in the lexicon of global popular cultures as millions of fans across the world are captivated and international media's attention is earned. BBC's documentary, How Did K-Pop Conquer the World, narrated the revolutionary process of K-pop in 1992, breakthrough in Japanese and Chinese music market, and the use of international social media and music platforms. Today, it is an undeniable truth that K-pop has entered almost all parts of the world. Noticeable in all K-pop groups, a specific formula composed of distinctive blend of addictive melodies, sleek choreography, production values, and parade of attractive South Korean performers prevails successfully in the global music arena. K-pop has become the center of Hallyu or Korean wave because of an extremely regimented and coordinated production system, clever design and brilliant marketing, and the support of the government to elevate South Korea and its culture onto the world stage. In the Philippines, Hallyu or Korean wave hit the country in the early 2000s through the airing of Korean dramas in local TV stations. Along with the increasing popularity of these dramas, patronizing Korean culture and arts has penetrated the consciousness of the Filipino adolescents who have better access of the media, social media, and technology. The Philippines has become South Korea's biggest fan, and Filipinos are one of the most dedicated fans an artist could have. Debuted in a Philippine TV through Mix Music Channel in mid-2009, K-pop has congregated devoted fans in various K-pop conventions, local fans club, K-pop acts, and K-pop concerts. Since then, K-pop has strategically earwormed to Filipinos' palates for music. This seemingly insatiable thirst for K-pop contents among fans all over the world has created a section in social media, specifically in Twitter. Stan Twitter is a whole sub-community on Twitter dedicated to support celebrities, movies, TV shows, books, and artists. In Stan Twitter, fans express their adoration over the artists they admire in tweets, fan projects, and other fan practices shared in this space. Adapted from Eminem's song, the word stan is defined as an overzealous and obsessive fan of a particular celebrity. The word stan also possesses a verb counterpart. To stan means to exhibit fandom to an extreme or excessive degree, or to be an extremely devoted and enthusiastic fan of something or someone. During these days, stan has transformed and has moved away from the negative connotation of obsessive tendency. Hence, being a stan has become more socially acceptable. Stan accounts comprise this section in Twitter. A stan account is a pseudonymous account because the owner hides behind the profile photo of the artist and the display name that is usually being changed to status like IA or inactive, or any message or activities of the fandom. The Twitter handle or the @ is also a reference to them, while the header contains a photo or collage of the group or bias. In the bio or biograph section, the owner writes their place of origin, represented by flag, or nationality. For example, Philo is Filipino. Gender, age, and other personal information they want to provide except their real names. They may also add links to the official Twitter account of their favorite artists. Filipino fans started to participate in fan activities and use social media to keep up with contents released by the K-pop groups they stan. Based on Twitter's data from July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021, Philippines landed in top 2 in 20 countries where K-pop is most talked about on Twitter, and top 3 in 20 countries with the most K-pop fans on Twitter. Tweets from Filipino fans contribute to the 7.5 billion tweets about K-pop. In Stan Twitter, Stan accounts users interact not only among their peers from the same country using their native language, but among international fans rooting for the same K-pop artist. The language that is very useful is English, deemed as the bridge to communicate among fans in Stan Twitter. Hiding behind a Stan account, one of the researchers read a tweet by a K-pop Stan account user in June 2021 about a congratulatory remark of her boss on the email draft she sent. She attributed her progress in English on her stay in Stan Twitter, tweeting in English and interacting with international fans. Shortly after, the researcher found out that her 15-year-old niece has been using a Stan account too. More tweets on the link of progress in English in Stan Twitter were found by the researchers when English Stan Twitter was put on the search bar. The researchers thought of looking for high school Filipino students who are in Stan Twitter to check out how the pseudonymous social interactions happening in Stan Twitter help them express themselves in English. Hence, the present study was conducted to achieve the following objectives: to describe the social interactions happening in Stan Twitter among K-pop Stan account users, to determine if pseudonymity helps in expressing themselves in written English, and to identify the potential of the pseudonymous social interaction in Stan Twitter as a practice in writing in English. Purposive sampling was used to select 12 Filipino high school students interacting socially under pseudonyms in Stan Twitter. In this study, they should have the following characteristics: having Stan account related to K-pop, Filipino, high school students from grade 7 to grade 12 who are presently enrolled during the research period, any gender, and willingness to participate in the research. In purposive sampling, subjects are selected based on study purpose with the expectation that each participant will provide unique and rich information of value to the study. Three of the key informants, comprising 25% of the total respondents, were male, while the remaining 9 key informants were female. In terms of duration of stay in Stan Twitter at the time of the research, 8 key informants had Stan accounts for 1 year or less, comprising the 66.67%. 2 of them for 2 years, 1 of them for 3 years, and 1 for 4 years. The average age of the participant is 15.67 years old. Majority of them, 7 key informants or 58.33%, were enrolled in junior high school, while the remaining 5, 41.67%, were already in senior high school or grade 11 to grade 12. They admire varied K-pop groups such as iKON, ENHYPEN, BTS, P1 Harmony, Red Velvet, and Blackpink. Some of them possess other Stan accounts other than the one they used at the time of the interview. This study was conducted from June to October 2021. The researchers drafted a semi-structured interview based on Malik's interview guide. They formulated questions concentrating on the pseudonymity and the use of English in Stan Twitter as a practice in writing. The interview guide was validated by 3 professors in the field of English. To look for potential respondents, one of the researchers who has a Stan account for almost 2 years looked among those whom she has interacted with and asked them via direct message if they are high school students. Next, she posted a tweet asking for her followers to contact her if they know Filipino high school students who are willing to participate in a research. Third, she examined her followers' bio to find potential respondents. Then she used the search bar and used terms such as Philo-Moots, Philo-15, Philo-16, Philo-17, Philo-18, and Philo-English Moots. Using her own Stan account, the researcher sent an introductory message to prospective key informants via direct message in Twitter. When they replied, the researcher unveiled her identity as a teacher researcher as well as a K-pop fan by sending a link to her blog narrating her attendance to a K-pop concert in Manila in 2018. It was necessary to gain the trust of the key informants so they could feel safe in participating in the research. The researcher also confirmed if the key informant was a Filipino high school student as reflected in their bio. After they agreed to be part of the research, the researcher asked them the questions one by one. When respondent asked clarifications on the question, the researcher tried to simplify the question further, rephrase, or even translated it to Filipino so the key informants could give the appropriate answers. Some of the respondents gave the answers after 1 week, while most of them answered the questions right away. After the interview, the researcher asked their permission to screenshot some of their tweets. The interview likewise asked for information about the participants' profiles like grade level, age, K-pop group they admire, and gender. The consolidated interview data were compiled together with the screenshots for analysis. The interview data were then transcribed and repeatedly read and examined. The transcript, through a thematic analysis approach, were condensed and categorized based on themes and sub-themes.
From the analysis of data and responses from the key informants, this is the first important finding for the first objective. A screenshot shows some public tweets visible to all users in Twitter, while the other samples are from stan accounts with protected tweets, which means that their followers could only see their tweets. These are the usual activities done by the key informants in stan Twitter. First, updating with idols events, schedules, and social media posts. Second, finding friends online. Third, forming relationships with like-minded people. And finally, showing support to K-pop idols. It was evident that the key informants tried their best to communicate in English with their mutuals in Stan Twitter in order to interact with them and sustain a conversation with them because this is the primary means to develop understanding in the platform, especially with international participants. Since English is the given language to promote understanding among international participants, the key informants feel the need to speak in the language to the point that they are forced to use English just to interact and sustain a conversation with other Stan Twitter users. Unconsciously through this, they gradually practice their use of English and learn how to write tweets in the language more confidently as they engage to more interactions requiring English. The English in Stan Twitter is informal. Thus, they use words and expressions that sound friendly. They usually use acronyms, clippings, and shortening of words in expressing their thoughts and feelings in Stan Twitter. The second significant finding revealed how pseudonymity in Stan Twitter helps the key informants in expressing themselves in written English. From the responses of the key informants, it was evident that Stan Twitter is a safe space for Filipino high school students, especially in writing in English, because there is no correction and judgment in the said platform. Accordingly, Stan Twitter offers a safe avenue for the key informants in expressing themselves in written English simply because they are pseudonymous and that no one will judge and correct their mistakes, specifically in grammar and other language conventions. Furthermore, the key informants believe that by being pseudonymous, they are not restricted by the rules of written English in expressing themselves in Stan Twitter. In the study of Malik on Stan Twitter as a possible community of practice, it was revealed that the platform provides a safe and secured avenue for K-pop stans not only in showing their love and support to their idols, but on how they express themselves in written English. The respondents involved in the research work stressed on the role of Stan Twitter as a place where they can practice their English language skills in a natural setting without being scared of judgment compared to real life where people judge them for their grammar mistakes. Moreover, Stan Twitter allows them to keep track of their favorites and interact with people without fearing judgment on their grammatical mistakes. This confidence helps them try communicating in English without feeling ashamed of any mistakes they might make while using it because they know that their community members will not judge them for their poor language skills. In this sense, social media is evidently regarded as a place where anyone can say whatever they want and no one would judge them, and that is often the reason why people find it easier to be more open and honest online. In an online article published in Digital Rights Monitor, Ahmad confessed that Twitter serves as a space online and a personal outlet for expressing her thoughts and admiration towards the idols she stands. Amal K. in 2021 also supports the claim as she pointed out in her online article published in youthkiawas.com that the Twitter subculture or Stan Twitter itself provides a safe space for fans or stans to flaunt their love, admiration, and support for their idols without being judged. Apart from this, online friendships which rooted in Stan Twitter spaces offer a chance to interact with people all over the world with common interests and that the virtual platform provides a judgment-free space to share one's worries and find support from fellow stans. In retrospect, the data from the table also revealed that students found Stan Twitter as a common ground to express themselves in written English and engage in conversations without inhibitions. As Soler highlighted in his study, the opportunity to be physically invisible and anonymous amplifies the disinhibition effect among users of SNS. Accordingly, when someone is anonymous or pseudonymous in this study, people do not have to worry about how they look or sound when they type a message online. They don't have to worry about how others look or sound in response to what they say. This only means that the confidence and trust in oneself in expressing personal views and feeling online is primarily fueled by the fact that they are invisible and anonymous or pseudonymous. However, despite the fact that anonymity is one of the principal factors that creates this inhibition effect, Soller also believes that the phenomenon affects self-disclosure. When people have the opportunity to separate their actions online from their in-person lifestyle and identity, they feel less vulnerable about self-disclosing and acting out. Whatever they say or do can be directly linked to the rest of their lives. In a process of disassociation, anonymity can also lead to negative behaviors and consequences like online aggression. In the study, it was found out that anonymous participants were more aggressive than non-anonymous participants. According to Zimmerman, the increase in inappropriate and characteristic behaviors like this while online has been called cyber disinhibition. This cyber disinhibition occurs mainly because of the anonymous nature of the internet. Individuals may behave in ways that contradict normative behavior when they do not identify with a particular online community and are free to live without desire to return. Another specific finding revealed that social interactions in Twitter serve as an avenue for English practice. As Malik said, Stan Twitter community does not only serve as a virtual place where fans gather from all over the globe with the purpose of sharing their admiration for their favorite idols, but also a venue where participants end up interacting with and learning from each other as they communicate and share conversations. In this way, the community that had gathered for entertainment ends up being a learning platform. Likewise, Holmberg said that the rise of social media has indeed had a positive effect on students learning English as a second language as it is a part of their daily life for an increasing number of people. Lam, as cited in Sauro, also documented how the subject of the case study was able to develop not only increased written skills in English, but also a new identity in English that ran counter to the identity he had struggled with in formal educational context. Together, these studies illustrate how the fun practice of media consumption in the target language can be a part of a productive cycle of language and culture learning. Similarly, Holmberg in 2019 found out that the younger generation is motivated to use social media because of its social aspect since this generation feels the need to be able to interact and participate. Hamada stresses the motivation for social interaction as a way to improve and continue learning English as a second language, and that social media is a way to enhance interactions and autonomy for English as a second language. However, Twitter and the other existing SNS today seemingly have negative impact to users' concept and idea of standard and technical English. One of these negative effects is a distortion of standard English in the studies of Grace in 2015 and Tuttle in 2016. Largely being a derivative of texting language, the social media language born of modifications and distortions of the standard English. As Malik in 2019 pointed out, although Stan Twitter discourse can aid in polishing the user's English skills, it has some negative effects on their language ability as well. This is primarily because Stan Twitter language is very different from the standard English used and taught in the typical academic settings in schools and other educational institutions, and therefore is not acceptable in a formal learning environment as Stan Twitter discourse is mostly informal and casual and therefore cannot be used in real-life formal situations. In line with the analysis of the findings, the researchers arrived at the following conclusions. First, the respondents found K-pop as a common ground to express themselves in written English and that the use of pseudonymity in social media engages communication with other people with common interests such as K-pop. Second, Stan Twitter is a safe space for the respondents in writing in English because there is no correction and judgment. And finally, the results show the potential of using pseudonymous social interactions as a practice in writing in English among high school students. The researchers recommend the following. Engage students in ungraded activities using pseudonymous social interactions related to their interest. Strengthen the notion of social media as learning platforms.